Back in the 15th century, in a tiny village near Nuremberg, a family lived there with 18 children. Now, in order to keep food on the table for this family, the father and the head of the household, a goldsmith by profession, worked almost 18 hours a day at his trade. Now, despite their seemingly hopeless condition, two of the elder children, Albrecht and Albert, had a dream. They both wanted to pursue their talent in art. But they knew fully well that their father would never be able to financially send either of them to Nuremberg to study at the academy. Now, after many long discussions at night in their bed, the two boys finally worked out a pact. They would toss a coin, and the loser would go down to the nearby mines and with his earnings support his brother while he attended the art academy. Then after a few years, they would swap places. The other would go to the academy while the brother goes down to the mines. Now they tossed a coin on Sunday morning after church, and Albrecht Dürer won the toss and went on to the art academy at Nuremberg. Albert went down into the dangerous mines and for the next 4 years financed his brother, whose work at the academy was almost an immediate sensation. Now when the young artist returned back to his village, the Dürer family had a festive dinner on their lawns to celebrate Albrecht's triumphant homecoming. After a long and memorable meal, punctuated with music and laughter, Albrecht rose from his honored position at the head of the table to drink a toast to his beloved brother for the years of sacrifice that had enabled Albrecht to fulfill his ambition of being an artist. His closing words were, "And now, Albert, the blessed brother of mine, now it is your turn. Now you can go to Nuremberg to pursue your dream, and I will go down to the mines." All heads turned in eager expectations to the far end of the table where Albert sat with tears streaming down his pale face, shaking his lowered head from side to side while he sobbed and repeated over and over, "No, no, no, no." Finally, Albert rose and wiped the tears from his cheeks. He glanced down the long table at the faces he loved, and then holding his hands close to his right cheek, he said softly, "No, brother, I cannot go to Nuremberg. It is too late for me. Look what 4 years in the mines have done to my hands. The bones in every finger have been smashed at least once, and lately I have been suffering from arthritis so badly in my right hand that I cannot even hold a glass to return your toast, much less make delicate lines on canvas with a pen or a brush. No, brother, it's very late for me." Now, according to the legend, one day, to pay homage to Albert for all that he had sacrificed, Albrecht Dürer painstakingly drew his brother's abused hands with palms together and thin fingers stretched skyward. He called this powerful drawing simply "Hands," but the entire world immediately opened their hearts to this great masterpiece and renamed his tribute of love to his brother as the Praying Hands. Now, Albrecht Dürer was a German painter whose art was prevalent throughout the Renaissance period of the 16th century in Europe. The Praying Hands was part of a painting which took Dürer more than a year to complete. Today, the Praying Hands is housed at the Albertina in Vienna, Austria. Due to the fragility and the age of the original sketch, only a facsimile is displayed for the public. Friends, we would never know the authenticity of the story related to the Praying Hands painting, and my deeper reading on the painting indicates that the story making its round is a work of fiction. While some reports say that the painting depicts the Apostle's hands, whose full picture was planned to occupy the central panel of the triptych installed in Frankfurt entitled as the Helen altarpiece, which got destroyed by a fire in 1729. A few other states that they are one of his close friends, Franz Nixtin, who sacrificed his career for Dürer. While there is a version of the story that says that the Praying Hands were of his brother Albert, while some even say that the drawing was of his own hands. Now, most likely that this fictional account of the Praying Hands was constructed somewhere around the 19th century when there was renewed interest in Albrecht Dürer and his work. Now, regardless of whose pair of hands were drawn, The story is a gentle reminder of two important life lessons. First, there is a need to acknowledge that everyone has a helper and that no one ever makes it alone. It takes teamwork to make dreams work. Ask anyone who has achieved anything worthwhile and they will tell you that somewhere along the way they were inspired, encouraged, mentored or lifted towards their succeeding. When we hear about celebrity success, we tend to admire them. But often we forget that these achievements or those achievements wouldn't have been possible without the help of others. The truth is, no one makes it alone. There are always others broadening our capabilities and skills. While some people forget those who helped them succeed, many remember and recognize their helpers. Always remember the people who helped you, no matter how talented you are and irrespective of the heights you have climbed. It wouldn't be possible without the help from others. Secondly, the masterpiece is also a reminder to look at your own fingers and remind ourselves that we all have our own set of praying hands and God is always the helper of the helpless. Now, someone rightly said, don't think of the things you didn't get after praying. Think of the countless blessings God gave you even without asking. All we need to do is to put those palms together, stick the fingers a little bit, raise your eyes above to God, and don't be afraid to say, I need help, and you will be surprised how close help actually is when you ask for it.